that as Hedge's object gained velocity, it would continue to lose length and gain mass until its length became nil and its mass infinite. Nobody can imagine such an object. Go on. But what actually occurred is this. Hedge's object continued to lose length and gain mass until it reached the theoretical limit of velocity, the speed of light. At that point, the object, still gaining speed, simply ceased to exist, having no length. It ceased to occupy space. It disappeared. However, the object had not been destroyed. It continued on its way, gaining momentum each moment, moving in an arc across the galaxy away from the Sol system. Hedge's object entered some other realm of being beyond our powers of conception. The next phase of Hedge's experiment consisted in a search for some way to slow the FTL object down, back to a sub-FTL speed, hence back into our universe. This counter-principle was eventually worked out. With what result? The death of Hedge and destruction of most of his equipment. His experimental object, in re-entering the space-time universe, came into being in space already occupied by matter. Possessing an incredible mass, just below infinity level, Hedge's object exploded in a titanic cataclysm. It was obvious that no space travel was possible with such a drive. Virtually all space contains some matter. To re-enter space would bring automatic destruction. Hedge had found his FTL drive and his counter-principle, but no one before this had been able to put them to any use. Reinhardt walked over toward the great metal cylinder. Sherikov jumped down and followed him. "I don't get it," Reinhardt said. "You said the principle is no good for space travel." "That's right." "What's this for, then? If the ship explodes as soon as it returns to our universe—" "This is not a ship." Sherikov grinned slyly. "Icarus is the first practical application of Hedge's principles. Icarus is a bomb." "So this is our weapon," Reinhardt said. "A bomb, an immense bomb." "A bomb moving at a velocity greater than light. A bomb which will not exist in our universe. The Centaurans won't be able to detect or stop it. How could they? As soon as it passes the speed of light, it will cease to exist beyond all detection." "But—" "Icarus will be launched outside the lab, on the surface. He will align himself with Proxima Centaurus, gaining speed rapidly. By the time he reaches his destination, he will be traveling at FTL 100. Icarus will be brought back to this universe within Centaurus itself. The explosion should destroy the star and wash away most of its planets, including their central hub planet, Armun. There is no way they can halt Icarus once he has been launched. No defense is possible. Nothing can stop him. It is a real fact." "When will he be ready?" Sherikov's eyes flickered. "Soon." "Exactly how soon?" The big Pole hesitated. "As a matter of fact, there's only one thing holding us back." Sherikov led Reinhardt around to the other side of the lab. He pushed a lab guard out of the way. "See this?" He tapped a round globe open at one end, the size of a grapefruit. "This is holding us up." "What is it?" "The central control turret. This thing brings Icarus back to sub-FTL flight at the correct moment. It must be absolutely accurate. Icarus will be within the star only a matter of a microsecond. If the turret does not function exactly, Icarus will pass out of the other side and shoot beyond the Centauran system." "How near completed is this turret?" Sherikov hedged uncertainly, spreading out his big hands. "Who can say? It must be wired with infinitely minute equipment, microscope grapples, and wires invisible to the naked eye." "Can you name any completion date?" Sherikov reached into his coat and brought out a manila folder. "I've drawn up the data for the SRB machines, giving a date of completion. You can go ahead and feed it. I entered 10 days as the maximum period. The machine can work from that." Reinhardt accepted the folder cautiously. "You're sure about the date? I'm not convinced I can trust you, Sherikov." Sherikov's features darkened. "You'll have to take a chance, Commissioner. I don't trust you any more than you trust me. I know how much you'd like an excuse to get me out of here and one of your puppets in." Reinhardt studied the huge scientist thoughtfully. Sherikov was going to be a hard nut to crack. Designs was responsible to security, not the Council. Sherikov was losing ground, but he was still a potential danger. Stubborn, individualistic, refusing to subordinate his welfare to the general good. All right. Reinhardt put the folder slowly away in his coat. I'll feed it. But you better be able to come through. There can't be any slip-ups. Too much hangs on the next few days. If the odds change in our favor, are you going to give the mobilization order? Yes, Reinhardt stated. I'll give the order the moment I see the odds change. Standing in front of the machines, Reinhardt waited nervously for the results. It was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The day was warm, a pleasant May afternoon. Outside the building, the daily life of the planet went on as usual. As usual? Not exactly. The feeling in the air, an expanding excitement growing every day. Terra had waited a long time. The attack on Proxima Centaurus had to come, and the sooner the better. The ancient Centauran Empire hemmed in Terra, bottled the human race up in its one system. A vast, suffocating net draped across the heavens, cutting Terra off from the bright diamonds beyond. And it had to end. The SRB machines whirred, the visible combination disappearing. For a time, no ratio showed. Reinhardt tensed, his body rigid. He waited. The new ratio appeared. Reinhardt gasped. 7-6. Toward Terra. Within 5 minutes, the emergency mobilization alert had been flashed to all government departments. The Council and President Duff had been called to immediate session. Everything was happening fast. But there was no doubt. 7-6 in Terra's favor. Reinhardt hurried frantically to get his papers in order in time for the Council session. At Histo Research, the message plate was quickly pulled from the confidential slot and rushed across the central lab to the chief official. Look at this. Fredman dropped the plate on his superior's desk. Look at it. Harper picked up the plate, scanning it rapidly. Sounds like the real thing. I didn't think we'd live to see it. Fredman left the room, hurrying down the hall. He entered the time bubble office. Where's the bubble? He demanded, looking around. One of the technicians looked up slowly. Back about 200 years. We're coming up with interesting data on the War of 1914. According to material the bubble has already brought up. Cut it. We're through with routine work. Get the bubble back to the present. From now on, all equipment has to be free for military work. But the bubble is regulated automatically. You can bring it back manually. It's risky, the technician hedged. If the emergency requires it, I suppose we could take a chance and cut the automatic. The emergency requires everything, Fredman said feelingly. But the odds might change back, Margaret Duff, president of the council, said nervously. Any minute they can revert. This is our chance, Reinhardt snapped, his temper rising. What the hell's the matter with you? We've waited years for this. The council buzzed with excitement. Margaret Duff hesitated uncertainly, her blue eyes clouded with worry. I realize the opportunity is here, at least statistically, but the new odds have just appeared. How do we know they'll last? They stand on the basis of a single weapon. You're wrong. You don't grasp the situation. Reinhardt held himself in check with great effort. Sherikov's weapon tipped the ratio in our favor, but the odds have been moving in our direction for months. It was only a question of time. The new balance was inevitable, sooner or later. It's not just Sherikov. He's only one factor in this. It's all 9 planets of the Sol system. Not a single man. One of the councilmen stood up. The President must be aware the entire planet is eager to end this waiting. All our activities for the past 80 years have been directed toward... Reinhardt moved close to the slender President of the Council. If you don't approve the war, there probably will be mass rioting. Public reaction will be strong. Damn strong. And you know it. Margaret Duff shot him a cold glance. You sent out the emergency order to force my hand. You were fully aware of what you were doing. You knew once the order was out, there'd be no stopping things. A murmur rushed through the